Hey friends, family, and church. I recently decided to reread through the Psalms to take a closer look. And as I read through Psalm 1 a couple weeks ago, I had an urge, the Holy Spirit had put an urge upon my heart to do a 7-day in-depth study through Psalm 1. And I wanted to share that with you. Psalm 1 says, "How happy is the one who does not walk in the advice of the wicked, or stand in the pathway with sinners, or sit in the company of mockers. Instead, his delight is in the Lord's instruction, and he meditates on it day and night. He is like a tree planted beside flowing streams that bears its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. The wicked are not like this. Instead, they are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand up in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to ruin." This psalm starts out with the words, "How happy is the one." Most versions here read, "Blessed is the man, blessed is the one." But the Hebrew word here is not barak, which is the most common found Hebrew word for being blessed, but rather the word found here is esher, or esher, which means happiness. There are several ways that the word blessed is used in the scriptures, and the one that I think best applies here is defined as having joy in a way that gives you a sense of peace, a freedom from anxiety. I would like to rephrase this just a little bit and give a biblical theological justification for the reasoning behind this kind of happiness, this position of joy. I would say that it is a peace of mind that is a result of a deep assurance, a certainty which is brought about by complete trust towards God, a dependence upon God in light of His undying faithfulness. This is the definition of the word blessed, and the perspective that I want us to keep in mind as we look at Psalm 1 over the next week. As you read this psalm, you realize that the happiness is not only a state of mind, but also a result, a product. In one way, it is definitely a state of mind based on his perspective. But in another way, it is the quality of life that this man gets to experience because he does or doesn't do certain things. But one could argue that we either do or don't do things because of our perspective, the way that we see things, and one would be right. Our actions are merely a product, a fruit of our beliefs and acknowledgments. The way we see the world, that's how we live according to that perspective. And then again, this man's perspective is quite certainly also a fruit of a deeper and a more established foundation, which is God Himself, who transcends and even challenges the man's perspective, constantly molding and remolding his outlook based on a higher and more accurate perspective, God's perspective, God's personal perspective. So let's take a look at this blessed man's life, what he does and what he chooses not to do. Maybe let's consider as well why he does or doesn't do certain things. What is it that he puts his trust in? And what is it that he does not consider a reliable enough foundation to lean on because he knows the futility and the fatality of it? This week, let's dive deep into Psalm 1. Let's use our God-given reasoning abilities to simply study and evaluate the matters presented in this passage. And besides just doing a mere intellectual assent with our mind to certain truths, let's challenge each other to ultimately see God's glorious majesty as revealed here and to apply these truths to our life. In an attempt to help us with that, I've added practical challenges that we can apply daily as we go through this text together. For today's challenge, I'd like us to take some time to read through Psalm 1 and to meditate upon the truths revealed there. Make sure you tune in with us tomorrow and for the rest of the week as we will take a closer look at what it means to be blessed and what it is that brings about true joy.